Hey guys, welcome back to another phenomenal episode of Canine Legends and Trailblazers. I have the great pleasure to spend the day with two Trailblazers, Mr. Josh and Racheal Araujo. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yep, man. I've been following you guys for quite a while. I'm not quite sure when I met you guys. I think probably around when I came back to Lackland to do the OQC course. So that was probably around 2018-ish.
Okay.
Um, but I've followed you guys since then. You know, the first time I met both of you, and it's the first time I've done an interview with two people. But the first time I met both of you, and I met you separately, I didn't meet you together. Um, I was very impressed, right? I watched you train, I watched you do your thing, and I said, okay, these guys got it, man. Like they're good to go. They're pressing forward, and you guys are young. You know, you're not an old dog like me and some of these other guys I've interviewed. So you definitely got Trailblazer status. You're going to be legend before long for sure. So I really appreciate you coming on. I know you guys are busy. You got so much going on. We're going to try to talk about as much of that as possible. So I will give a disclaimer. This program will probably not be G-rated. It'll probably be a little bit R-rated. If you know Rachel, she's going to drop some. I'll be so impressed if she doesn't, but I don't care if she does. Welcome to K9. That's how it goes, right?
I
Uh,
already got my bet on the number now. I already got my bet
yeah,
on the
there
number. I
there
already
is a
know.
running bet of how many F-bombs will be dropped, and I think that just depends on how long this interview is going to go. I'm not going to stop it. We're going to talk until we get done. If it's 2 hours, it's 2 hours. So again, let's start with Rachel. Rachel, I know you went to the Marine Corps in 2012, but tell me a little bit prior to Rachel going in the Marine Corps, what led you up to that decision?
Man, it was a journey even getting into the Marine Corps in itself. So, long story short, a little bit about me. So, growing up, I grew up with my mother. She was a single mom, holding down the fort. So, I learned a lot of characteristics from her of just being freaking independent and strong-willed, to say the least. And I knew growing up that I wanted to be a canine cop. It was always something I was very interested in. Always had a passion for it for whatever reason. And I always knew I didn't want to go to college. I was never somebody that enjoyed the books and the tests. It's just not my forte. I grew up doing MMA, so I did a lot of ground and pound fighting, and I was like, man, I want to do something different. And nobody in my family went to the military, and somehow, some way, I saw the Marines, and I went in their office and I was like, hey, this is what I want to do. My mom was pissed as hell. She was so fucking mad at me. I think it was just because I was a baby. She was not pleased when I told her I was going to do that, but I was going through the whole process in the Marine Corps,
Yeah.
and I got short staffed actually when their new tattoo policy was coming out. So I actually had a tattoo on my wrist saying tap, snap, or nap, which is a Brazilian saying.
Right.
And my dad's birthday. And because of that, I was literally about to get shipped off. And because of the policy that went through, they said, hey, we're not sure if she can go to boot camp anymore. And I was like, wait, hold the fuck up. What do you
Right.
mean I can't go?
Right.
So I actually had to meet some generals, and I actually had to go through all this freaking meetings to see if they could get basically wavered through, and they shut me down. So I actually got told that I wasn't able to go. I was shattered to pieces. But I said, what else? What other branch could I do?
Right.
And I actually enlisted into the Navy and was going through that process. And then unfortunately, my brother passed away while I was going through that. And when he passed, obviously that destroyed my mother. And so that made me take actually a back step and say, hey, this is just not the right time to leave. I just need to stick around home a little bit longer. And for that reason, I think it was just my brother saying, hey, I'm going to help you get to the Marines. And because of that, I was like, I went back to the Marine recruiter that I had, and I was like, hey man, like, what could I do to get into the Marine Corps? And he said, we could try lasering it off. He's like, I've seen some really good ones and some really bad ones, but he's like, that's a way to try to achieve to get in. And I was like, bet. So I actually went through a whole laser treatment, which took me about 13 months to do.
Oh, wow.
Got it lasered off and got wavered through and got sent to boot camp. And that's how my Marine Corps journey started. So it was already a battle to get in. And thank God it happened that way, though.
I love that, man. What a great story. That is
Yeah.
phenomenal. I didn't know that about you at all. That's some dedication right there. And that speaks to your character already, you know. MMA fighter, want to be K9, you're already set to go to the Marines anyway. You know, that's gonna happen. And then you run into a roadblock and you fight through it. So yeah, that's cool. All right, we're gonna slide over to Josh.
Oh,
Josh, I want to talk about Josh before Josh went in the Marine Corps in 2011.
man, hey, well, I came to the United States from Brazil in 2008.
Wait a minute.
Um,
Wait a minute. I have a question. I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but
what's
you had
up?
a tattoo on your hand that was Brazilian.
Yeah.
It was meant to be. Come on now.
Okay. All right. All right.
She had the type. No, I'm joking. I'm not doing it.
All right. Please continue. Please continue.
No, so I was raised in Brazil, right? I'm the first American born in my family, but I was raised in Brazil. Did all my school there. In 2008, I came to the United States. Came to the United States by myself. Didn't really have true story. Had $300 to my name. That's like it was my dad that helped me get that money. Came to the United States, started working, washing cars, got into the hotel industry. And there was a point in time I said, "Hey, look, I need to change. I want to change my life, right? I want to do something better." So I look at the military service, and the first one I went to, believe it or not, was I actually went down the line. The only one I never went to was the Navy. But I
Right.
walked into the Air Force, and no offense to the Air Force, the recruiter was twirling in the chair, and I couldn't do it. And that wasn't for me. It wasn't my personality.
Right.
So I was like, all right, cool. Went to the Army. Army seemed like they were pretty set on moving forward. Unfortunately, before I could join, I had appendicitis,
Oh,
and at that point, they for whatever reason they didn't want to talk to me anymore. So I was like, oh yeah, that's too easy. So I went to the Marine Corps,
right.
and they were like, hey, look, it's going to be hard. It's going to be difficult. The typical recruiter spiel, but it aligned with what I wanted,
Yeah.
and I joined. Didn't look back, and here we are.
They said put some Vicks on that and let's go, man.
Yeah, I was 100% on board with it too. So I was like, okay, let's do it.
I love it. I love it. And that's a good lead in to Rachel, all right? So Rachel, I'm sorry, where did you say you grew up at? Where was it?
I grew up in Colorado.
In Colorado. So what being going through MEPS in Colorado, you go East Coast or West Coast? Where'd you end up?
You go
Going
East Coast. Yeah.
East Coast, right?
Yeah.
And I know y'all talk a lot of trash about Hollywood Marines and East Coast Marines, but yeah, all in good fun. So you obviously you have to be military police to go K9, right? So get through boot camp, you go to is it MCT? Is
Yep.
that what it's called? Yeah. Did you go to Fort Leonard Wood or am I dating myself?
Yeah, no, that's not us. That's not us. We go to
Camp Geiger.
yeah, Camp Geiger.
Okay, so at some point during MP school, and I know this just because I know a little bit how the Marine Corps works, and I've interviewed a couple of Marines. At some point, they said, "Hey, we're looking for K9 folks, right?"
So it was a little bit different for my journey. I actually so when you join the Marine Corps, which I didn't know, they say, "Hey, you're going to be a 58 blank." And I thought, of course, I was going to be MP no matter what. No, when you get through boot camp, that's when they decide if you're going to go corrections or military police.
Okay.
And I remember sitting on that fucking floor. I was like, I swear to God, if I don't fucking go MP, I'm gonna fucking flip the fuck out. I was
Yep.
so scared that I wasn't gonna get it. And again, thank God, got the MP slot and got there. But no, actually, I wasn't even given the opportunity of canine until I got to my first duty station in Iwakuni, Japan.
Okay.
And once I got out there, obviously, they already know right who's coming in and all that good jazz. But long story short, I was gonna be stationed there for 3 years, which normally most are stationed there for two. So being a female, being stationed out there for 3 years, obviously specialties are already kind of like, oh, this could be somebody who can snag.
Right.
Of course, I didn't give a fuck about anybody but canine. And when I was going through that slot in canine, it was Sergeant Piers and Sergeant Sands out there, and two bald guys, and they're very intimidating when you first meet them. And I was like, oh fuck, like I gotta get with these guys and figure out how I can get this slot. And they basically said, hey, you got to be on the road for a certain amount of time. You got to come OJT, X, Y, and Z. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna make sure I have that happen. So I was freaking working, obviously, night shift, 12 hours. Right after I got off night shift, I was actually going through their McMac program. From the McMac program, then I go straight to canine and OJT. So obviously, I had to prove myself that I really wanted it, and I would work my ass off to get it. And because I was so consistent, I was bugging the fuck out of them, and they saw something in me. Thank God. That's how
Yeah.
I got a school seat.
And then was it Sergeant Pierce or Staff Sergeant Pierce?
It
Uh,
was Sergeant Pierce back then.
okay, I'm trying to just think if that was the same Sergeant Pierce I served with in DTS from '03 to '09, possibly.
Yeah.
Not sure. So okay, so a little bit different than what I thought. So you get K9 selection from Iwakuni, and then you go back to Lackland.
Yep.
So let's talk about that. So during that time frame, that was block one, block two, all separated. Did you have uh did you have like cradle to grave instructors or were they separate for each block?
They were separate for each block.
Okay. And do you remember, I'm gonna ask you a couple remember questions. Do you remember your instructors from block one?
So I had Sergeant Garcia, fucking, and Sergeant Montoya, MA1 Montoya.
MA1.
Yeah,
Okay.
those were my two cats.
That's your block one. And
Yep.
then you roll over to block two. Who was your instructors over there?
And then that's when Sergeant Garcia got to go to block two, and then I had another MA1. I can't remember his name though. Nahara.
I think it was Nova.
It was something. God,
It's all right.
he was like Filipino. I just can't remember what the fuck his name was though. But
Yeah.
yeah, really good guy. I don't remember his name off the
So
top of
you,
my
so
fucking
you
head.
get you get through that, right? You get through block one, block two, and then you go back to Iwakuni, and you got a dog waiting for you, right? That's usually how that works,
Yeah, that's how it's supposed to work.
right?
But yeah, I got thrown a curveball when it was in block one. I got a message from Sergeant Sands saying, hey, we're looking at getting a green dog and you might be flying back with her. And I was like, oh shit, like I'm
Right.
here, I'm a boot, I'm learning about fucking dogs. Now you want me to bring a dog all the way back to fucking Japan? Like,
Yeah.
fuck man.
What a ride, man.
Yeah, I was like, all right. I was like, just keep me posted. And so going through the schoolhouse, and then he sends me, he's like, yep, it's confirmed. You're gonna pick up this puppy program dog. Her name's Dalia. So
Oh,
he's like, go check her out, see what's going on. I'm like, all right. So then, yeah, I went to Sergeant Garcia. I was like, hey, I guess I'm bringing a dog back to the fleet. I was like, this is the dog. He's like, all right, let's go check her out. And
yeah.
I remember going to her kennel, and she's this fucking pocket size now. And I just remember looking at her. I was like, this is gonna be a journey, my girl. And
Yeah.
Sergeant Sands is like, yeah, just be expected that might be your dog. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna fucking figure this dog out. And I just remember she was fucking like a statue though. I was like, I don't know if you want to kill me or if you're gonna like me, my girl. I was like, this is gonna be an interesting ride for sure.
So you ended up with this dog at school?
Yeah, so
Okay.
I was able to see her while I was out there, and yeah, as when they were like, "You're set," we already got everything booked. So yeah, I got to fly with her from Lackland all the way back to Iwakuni, Japan.
Nice. But you didn't validate her or certify her. Like that came later then.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
so you get back with this pocket-sized Mao that you don't know whether she wants to kill you or lick you, right?
for sure.
So you get there. That's a little bit intimidating, right? You got a brand new dog, right? Because most handlers will go back to a kennel and there's a dog's been there about 3 or 4 years and it's going to teach the handler a few things and get through. But you've got a green dog, very boot, like you said, very boot handler. So talk to me about that process. How'd that go?
Man, like even I remember even going to the airport with this dog, and obviously everybody's like, "Hey, she's gonna fly underneath the plane, X, Y, and Z." I'm like, "All right, cool." Jokes on me. When I get there, they're like, "Yeah, she can't fly under the plane. It's too cold, so she's gonna
Right.
have to fly in the seats with you." I'm like,
Oh,
yeah. And I was like,
yeah.
all right, like let's go. And obviously we flew from literally Lackland Air Force Base all the way to Tokyo. So
Oh,
that was
wow.
our straight leg.
Okay.
And from Tokyo they actually picked me up from that because traveling from Tokyo to Iwakuni was just too much of a nightmare. So
Yeah.
they were like, hey, we'll just pick you up from the airport from Tokyo. I'm like, okay. So obviously I'm on this fucking 13-hour flight with this dog. And I'm like, this is gonna be fucking again. This is gonna be a doozy. Thank God she was a fucking great dog in the airplane and didn't give me a hard time by any means. It was actually the fucking stewardess that were fucking a nightmare because they were
Yeah,
trying to fight me about her being on the seat and all this
yeah,
nonsense. But I had the whole row to myself, so I was like, she's sitting on the fucking seat. Like
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not
You want me to
entering
put
the
this
fucking
mile where
bathroom
my
right
my
now.
knee my knees are already touching the seat in front of me, and you want me to
For
stuff this
sure,
mile?
man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but hey, as soon as you get there, you can fill out airplane acclimation, people acclimation, a little bit of rapport. There's a
Oh
lot
my
of good,
God.
there's a lot of things going on with that
For
that's supposed
sure.
to have.
I was like, one point I was gonna use the restroom. I was like, you're coming in the freaking restroom, airport restroom with me, dude, because I'm
Yeah,
not leaving you out here.
yeah,
So
you
I'm
gotta do
cramping.
you gotta do what you do. Well, that's a good segue for me to jump back over to Josh. So we've got Rachel. She's gone into the Marine Corps through MCT, out to Iwakuni. Hey, you're gonna be K9 after she works her ass off for it, obviously. Goes back, gets this new dog, and now she's at her assignment. So Josh, pick me up at Marine Corps school or MCT or when at what point did that K9 opportunity come up for you?
So a little bit different. And by the way, I do have a cough, so my apologies. And I'm laughing because I'm counting how many F bombs she's already dropped.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I don't.
I'm already counting, by the way.
Yeah, I think
But
they're going to turn this into a drinking game on the internet,
oh,
and
it won't last 5 minutes. We'll be done by then.
yeah, I know.
But
Please go ahead.
so it's a little bit different as well. I was fortunate and unfortunate where I didn't get to take a puppy program dog or a brand new dog with me from Lackland. Excuse me. But when I graduated MCT, went to Alpha St. Peace School, and Peace School you go to the fleet, right? And during that time, I didn't know that you would either be PMO or a field MP. And
Okay.
I didn't even know what a field MP was until at MP school they explained, which is like you train to you're always on the field, you train to deploy. That's like the bulk of your work. You don't do anything on the road. And I was like, I want that job. How do I get that? Like, what I mean? I wanted to be an MP, but once I found out that was there, I was like, I want that. You don't get to choose. I just got lucky. So I got to Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, where I was part of 2MEF.
Okay.
And I didn't even know like Canine existed until Sergeant Daniels, which Sergeant Daniels. Now Master Sergeant Daniels. Right? I think now he's not. Now it's Master Sergeant Daniels, but Sergeant Daniel comes in. Sergeant Daniel comes in, and he's like, "Hey, we're Canine." And I was like, "What? You guys have dogs here? I want that. Like
Right.
I want that. I love animals." And that was as ignorant as I could sound. That's exactly how it was too. It's like I like animals. I want it.
Yeah.
So to show you my ignorance was as soon as I checked into Bravo Company. This is day one check-in. Boot is like I was a shower shoe. I don't even know if I warranted a boot reference yet.
Right.
And as I check in, the gunnery sergeant's like, "Where do you see yourself in 5 years?" And everyone goes down the line. And I said, "I want to go Canine." Man, I got chewed out so bad for that.
Really?
I got it handed to me. Like, who are you? You don't deserve this. All this. Like, who are
What?
you? I should have played the game a little bit better, but I didn't know there was even a game to be played at that time. Um, Fast forward though, what ended up being a huge pivotal point for my career was I had people like Staff Sergeant Whitmire, Staff Sergeant Griffin, and Staff Sergeant Sheridan. So
Oh,
Daniels is the one that introduced me to the notion of canine, but those three staff sergeants specifically were like, "We want you." Um, Mind you, I had to go through my due diligence, right? I had to go through a board. I had to do all the political stuff to be selected, OJT process. But yeah, man, those three specifically were the ones I said, "Hey, come on, come on." There's a cool little backstory to it, where Bravo Company at the time, because I was brand new, they didn't want me. This is the truth, so people are gonna be hurt by this, but they didn't want me to go K9.
right.
So they actually put me on a 24-hour duty the same day I was supposed to do my interview for K9.
Wow.
And so it was funny because I'm in my camis, everyone's checking in their actual like service Bravos. I think it was service Bravo, service Alphas at the time to go to K9. I'm in my camis and I text Staff Sergeant Whitmire and I said, "Hey, good morning, Staff Sergeant. Unfortunately, I can't. Unfortunately, my command said I don't deserve to go, so on and so forth." And I kid you not, man, this is what maybe pushed me to even want K9 even more. Was when I told Whitmire, I said, "Hey, unfortunately, they don't want me to go." His literal text message said, "Fuck them, come anyway." So I went to the interview process and that paid out, man. So very, very fortunate, very blessed. I rolled the dice big time.
Yeah.
It paid out really good. If not, I'll probably be cleaning weapons in the armory to this day. So yeah, definitely got lucky.
So for both of y'all, obviously, not to rehash, Josh went through the same process as Rachel, out to MWD school, block one, block two. And then obviously Josh is going back to the meth, right?
Yep.
That's where it's signed. And and just to highlight something, 2000, 2012, 2013, 2011, those are a really hot time in Afghanistan, meaning heavy with military working dogs, IDDs. I was over there during that time frame. I had two 9-month pumps to Camp Leatherneck, where basically I was like a kennel master, and I had trainers at all these fobs for the IDD program. So I know what that looks like, that picture looks like, and it was intense, right? We were finding a lot of IEDs. So for you guys to even know that's going on and still want to go K9, like that says a lot about your character as well. So I appreciate you, and I'm glad you guys made that decision. Um, so here we are, right? You're in the MEF, and for anyone that doesn't know, that's Marine Expeditionary Force, correct?
Yes,
And
that's
and I
correct.
think total they stood up three across the country. Uh,
Yep.
one was in Japan, right? But was that in Iwakuni?
That was okay. So one in Okinawa, so three meth was Okinawa, one meth was in Camp Pendleton, California, then two
Yeah,
meth, which is where I was at, was Camp Lejeune, North Carolina.
in North Carolina. Okay, cool. So we'll stick with Josh for now, but so we know what you're going to be doing in the MEF, right? You're deploying, you're going overseas. So you do your workups and you're surrounded by a MEF is I don't even know how many dogs it is. It's got to be 50, 60 dogs, right? Um, it's huge. They're a deployment force. That's what they're built for, right? Kind of mirroring the 820th Security Forces Group. They kind of did that first. They had 27 dogs in a squadron, and all they did was deploy. So here we are. So you're in the MEF. How long do you stay in the MEF?
So I was at Camp Lejeune from 2012 to 2014. But the cool thing was, this is where I say, man, like obviously I was always a hard worker, right? So like legitimately I was always a hard worker. But I have to say there was luck or there was people looking out for me. It was like as soon as I got back from canine school, I kid you not, the next week I went to SSD school,
Ah,
which was a pilot. They're doing a pilot Israeli like SSD. So I had Yona Kilo 517,
yeah.
and she was one of the last Israeli dogs.
Okay.
So even with the dual purpose stuff, I never really had the privilege to exploit that. When I was OJT, I had a lot of people looked after me, and I was able to do some decoy and stuff. But like my whole canine career was revolved around SSD, pretty much
Right.
off the bat.
Yeah, and for anyone that doesn't know, and if you've watched any of my videos before, you know what SSD is, a specialized search dog, which was DoD's first off-leash program that started roughly about 2005. So you're talking about 2000, what did you say, 2013,
And
2012
so that had to be 12,
when you went to school?
12, 12,
So
13, something like that. Yeah.
so SSD is in full swing, and just a little back history on it. Originally the concept was proven up at Fort Leonard Wood with the engineers with Paul Bunker. DoD started working on it in 2005. I was fortunate to be a part of that program. We did not know what we were doing. We were out there putting dogs on zip lines with Malinois and Maligators and calling them off-leash dogs and very nervous every time we sent them out. And then, of course, Paul comes in and shows us the right way. And a lot of great, phenomenal canine guys were over there. So not surprised that you end up going to that school. But that school at that time, I think that was a transition, right? So they were getting away from that, you know, purchasing the floppy-eared dogs, and then they started transitioning into what you just said, like the Israeli style of working these dogs, right? Which is primarily with radios and
Yeah.
better.
So the program. So when I went to SSD, Blackland Air Force Base was still doing, like, if I'm not mistaken, especially during that time, there's a big contract out for floppy ears. So
Yeah,
I believe the bulk of those dogs were floppy ears.
yeah,
The Marine Corps had synonymously or simultaneously stood up a pilot program
right,
where I had Staff Sergeant Laplace and Sergeant Rutledge at the time, who were my instructors for SSD.
yeah.
Well, what they did was they grabbed the SSDs that were already in the kennels, and then we did this course with them. We did like a pilot
Okay,
with them.
I got you.
So like my canine, a lot of them were Israeli SSDs. So it was Yona, Pinky, I think Pinky was there, Amber. And then we also had some flop ears too, like Marco Mendoza. He had Shadow. He had like he had a flop ear Shadow. So that was like a hybrid. But my foundation was from essentially Rutledge and LaPlace with the Israelis.
Yeah, yeah. So same kind of stuff that Chris Knight and Chris Willingham were doing with their dogs. Basically, that transfers back over to DOD at some point, and the Marine Corps kind of took off with that.
Yep.
So yeah, cool, man. I love that. So you get through SSD school, and then and SSD school was a pretty long course, if I remember, 70 something days at Lackland, and then were y'all still doing the Yuma portion of it, where you had to do 2 or 3 weeks out there at the end?
Yeah, so when the course I went to was specifically held by the Marine Corps for the Marines. So I don't know how, to be honest, I don't even know how they got away with it because we never had to do like the San Antonio Lackland Air Force Base course.
Okay.
What they did was they grabbed everybody from all the mess and then they hosted at a specific location. But it
Oh,
was specifically
okay.
for the Marine Corps, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Um,
I
and
get
it
it.
was I want to say it was 2 months long. It was
Yeah.
2 months. It was 2 months long, but it was a very, very intensive. Like it was a good course, man. Talk about a kid who didn't know anything, really feeling like he didn't know anything. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. No,
So
yeah, I understand that, man.
yeah.
100%. So we get through SSD school, and then where do you go from there?
So I stayed in Tampa, June, man. And like you said, during that time, the deployment was at all time high.
Yeah.
Um, my introduction to the kennels was like uh literally Sergeant Ashley, KIA, right?
Yeah.
Other people like Lobitz settled, they got hit. So, and they were just coming back from this deployment. So like that was my reality. So we just trained hard. When I got to the kennels, they had stopped doing mass deployments and they were sending people off in fours and sixes.
Yeah.
My time just never came, unfortunately, to be completely honest with you. I always wanted to go. My time just never came. And then I stayed there from 2012 to 2014. And from 14, I went to Lackland Air Force Base.
All right. That's where we're gonna pause. We're gonna have Rachel catch up to when she gets to the 341st. So please, you got this brand new dog. You're in Iwakuni. Um, you're a young Marine as well. Talk to me about like your dog there in Iwakuni and what kind of what was the mission there?
Yeah, so in Iwakuni, Japan, it's a air station. So obviously that's what we're notorious for, right? Is controlling that airfield. Obviously we worked alongside of Japanese nationals, which was honestly amazing and a blessing. We had the opportunity to work with their canine unit quite a bit. So
Nice.
they do a lot of urban search and rescue. So going out to their facility and seeing that was incredible, and their dogs were amazing. But then we had the opportunity to help them in the explosive case capability because obviously they weren't able to have hard odor. So
Right.
being able to work side by side and help each other out was a gift in itself. To be able to experience that was honestly amazing. But yeah, when I got back to Japan with this brand new green dog, obviously, again, the biggest thing I thought of was like, I can't fail this fucking dog. Like, I'm gonna make this dog like the best in the fucking kennels. That's all I remember when I first got her. And we obviously, with our first 10 days of just kind of getting decompressing and settling down, she was quiet, she was skittish, and I was like, oh my fucking god. I was like, no man, like I need you to be an ass eater. Like I want you to fucking get somebody. Like I was
Right.
like not doing this, my girl. But so I was blessed in the sense of our kennel dynamic was always everybody was in there. Everybody was always pushing each other. So like Josh said, I had a really amazing individuals to look up to mentor wise. I couldn't ask for anything better. They were always there to help me and make sure I guide this dog appropriately. But then at the same token, I'm still watching YouTube videos. I'm trying to figure out everything that I could that I had no idea in regards of training a canine. And we obviously passed through CERT. And once we passed through CERT, they're like, hey, you're going to train the trainer. And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, I just got this dog. We just started. Now I got to go to train the trainer back at Lackland Air Force Base. Like, holy fuck. Like,
Yeah.
I'm trying to keep afloat and I'm trying to make this dog a monster.
Right.
And she was a narcotics dog, which obviously if you were a Marine, the one thing you wanted was an explosive dog, just like Josh said. The one thing if you were an MP, like you wanted to be the field side. So here I got straight leg, I was like fuck, and then I got a narcotics dog, I was like fuck. Like, what's happening right now? But it fucking pushed me, and it opened doors that I would have never opened to begin with if I didn't allow that to happen. So when I got to trainer, man, it was beyond overwhelming. I thought I knew a little bit of something when I got, obviously I fucking was a hard charger when I went to fucking handlers course, but when I got to trainer, I was like, I don't fucking know shit.
So
I was
I'm
like,
not
what the fuck is happening right now?
I'm
And I
not
started
familiar with
in
that,
the
man.
detection part, and I had like Ryan Ramos, Ryan Hunsberger, I had Cavender, I had all these guys, and they were just like fucking word bombing and show me all this shit, and then I was just hanging on, man. But like that's where I thrived as a I knew like trainer was like my fucking thing. I was like, this is fucking cool. And that was an experience in itself. And I remember the last day I had in the detection trailer, they're like, all right, you're gonna run all fucking 18 dogs. And I was like, what do you mean I'm running all 18 dogs? And they're like, you fucking got it. I was like, all right, let's go. So and then went to the patrol side, and I had like Bobby Toll and Brock. I had all these cats out here fucking making me catch all these dogs left and right. And I was like, holy fuck, I'm here to grind, but man, I'm gonna fucking get thrown to the wolves. But again,
Yeah, they're putting
I
you
learned
through the
so much
ringer,
shit.
man. So, Rachel, I'm not familiar with trainer. So, like in my time, we went back for Kennel Master trainer course. Is that kind of the same thing, or is that an extension of that?
So it was a little bit different. So trainer, you went to DTS, and you
Oh,
were working alongside the trainer specifically. So it wasn't like this schoolhouse course by any means. You were thrown on a trailer with these cats. You were
nice.
literally, yeah, putting overalls with them, going to, guard mount every morning and
Yeah.
every evening.
What a
And I
great
spent,
opportunity, man.
yeah, it
That is
was
amazing.
it
Yeah.
was badass. I'm super disappointed that that program kind of dwindled away because I think that brought so much value in so
Yeah.
many different aspects,
You know, it's
especially.
yeah, it's like anything. You can go sit in a classroom and go do a little bit of prac app, and you're not going to leave there. The Kennel Master Trainer course did not prepare me to go be a trainer, by
For
no means.
sure.
I didn't get any inkling of being a trainer until I actually got to the 341st and had a couple trailers and got those reps and got those, 20, 30 dogs through my fingers. So what a great opportunity. And at this point, what rank are you at this point?
I was a Lance Cooley at that time. So I was a Lance
Wow.
Corporal. And as I was leaving trainer, that's when I picked up Corporal.
What a blessing, man. That's because I just tell anybody in the military out there, if you get the opportunity to go 330, 341st, you better run there and stay as long as you can because the amount of knowledge that you pick up there and just based the reps, right? The reps that you get on dogs is just amazing. But please continue. So we finished train to trainer. Then where we go?
So then I would go back to the field and bring all that knowledge out there. And again, I had a lot of amazing handlers where I was like, hey man, like this is what I fucking learned. Let's fucking do it. And so we fucking hooked and jabbed. We made monster dogs. We made them better on odor. Everything that I could grasp at 341st at trainer,
Yeah,
I brought to the field, which was
nice.
badass. It made me become the chief trainer at the Iwakuni Japan Kennels, which was a blessing. Being able to guide those guys and those dogs to just become better was just so powerful and so cool to see, especially since we were such a small kennels. It was a blessing, but yeah, had a super amazing time out there.
So that probably cemented your decision when that opportunity came up to go to 2 to 341st was I'm gone. See ya.
Shit, I was like, once I got back, I was like, hey, that's where I want to go next. I was like, that's what I fucking want. So however I need to fucking get there, that's where I want to go.
All right, guys, welcome back. We're continuing our interview with Josh and Racheal Araujo. Where we left off, Josh and Racheal had both made decisions in their life to go down to the 341st Training Squadron. And you guys should know from previous videos, this is the mecca of dog training, right? Everything that happens dog-wise for DoD, it happens there. It starts there and it finishes there. So, Josh, You got orders, you're going back to San Antonio, right? Everything K9 always leads you back to San Antonio. And unfortunately, for Air Force, every damn school that I had to go to for upgrade training was San Antonio. But I do love San Antonio. So talk to me about that. First day walking into the guard mount room.
Yeah, okay. So 2014, walk in, and as a matter of fact, man, I'm telling you, I think my trajectory compared to most people is a little bit different.
Yeah.
Because as soon as I get in there, it's the same thing. Do your introductions. As soon as you stand up, they tell you to sit down. No one wants to hear about you anyway.
Yeah.
Um, and that was pretty much that day.
Yeah.
Literally the next day, I get selected to be an SSD instructor.
Nice.
So like I'm telling you, and I understand. That's why I say like, yeah, I was always a hard worker. That's for sure. But there's a little bit of luck on my side of the story too, and somebody's looking out for me. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah. God is
Um,
definitely blessing you, my man.
100%. So literally the next day I go to SSD, and that's where I had two Army instructors, and then myself and one more Marine instructor. And the cool thing was that we're in that weird transition where in 2014 the Army was officially pulling away from the program,
Right,
as well as the combat engineers were.
right.
So the Marine Corps was going to fully take over that program as well. So like perfect timing. I can't say it any better. I know people are going
Yeah.
to hate the story after they hear it, but I was in a
It's
very
your
very
story,
fortunate.
brother. It's your
Yeah,
story.
but it was just one of those things. Like I gotta give credit due. Like I understand that I was lucky. You know what I mean? And I'm
Yeah.
not I'm not one to say it was all me. No man, there was luck for sure involved. But
Yeah.
so
But what a
there
great
you go.
opportunity, man. What a great opportunity, right? You'd gone through SSD school not too much before that, and now you're getting to go back and teach it, right? And
100.
and teaching is a lot different than training and handling, right? So talk me up through that, man. So you have to go to basic instructor course at some point because you're on an Air
Yep.
Force installation, and they want you to teach a certain way. I don't know how Rachel ever got through BIC. But anyway, go ahead.
No, so that was cool. We were at this cool point where in SSD you did all the hats, right? So yes, I was instructor, but I was also the trainer. So
Right.
we got a bulk of dogs. Um, During that time, we had the IDDs, which was
Okay.
like from the combat engineers and the infantry, all that program. They had about a surplus of 500 dogs. And
Yes.
under our possession at the time, I want to say we had a surplus of 200 dogs
Yeah.
that fit under the IDD description,
Yeah.
and we were transitioning into buying green dogs.
Right.
So while that's one in the trainer status, I went to BIC, basic instructor's course, and man, I always had a real, I always feel like I had a real good knack with like connecting to people and talking to people.
Yeah.
So I was just able to explore that a little bit more. So I went through BIC to officialize it, even though we weren't ATC accredited, but if you're an instructor, you have to go through BIC.
Right.
And then immediately started just producing dogs and teaching man and training. So it was pretty humbling in the sense of like I didn't have the deployment experience, which in the military is a very, very big thing that people wear on their badge, right? Wear on their chest, better
Yeah.
yet. Um, but I was able to empathize with handlers in terms of being new and not knowing and like learning. And I think that's where the humility, right? The humbleness, humility aspect was advantageous for me, where
Yeah.
it wasn't like, this is what we did in Afghanistan.
Right.
I was real big on, we're doing this for the dog because of this, and this behavior. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%, man.
Yeah.
And
So
and being a part of that program, man, like you know where they're gonna go, right? You 100% know where they go. And that was very humbling for me as well, right? Because I knew that whatever I did with this dog and with this student, it was gonna impact them, right? So you just like SSD history from day one, blood, sweat, and tears, man, get the job done. And for me, past experience means past experience, right? A very good friend of mine, Paul Bunker, he says this thing all the time: train the dog in front of you, but also train the student in front of you, right? And I think that goes a long way. Like I love that motto. You're in SSD school, man. You're an instructor, and SSD's set apart a little bit from the rest of the 341st in the sense that at this time it's transitioned to almost an entire Marine Corps program. If not, correct me if I'm wrong. Um, but I want to talk about the IDD dogs that came over. I was a huge part of that. I was in IDD for almost 4 years of my life, and uh, I know, with the good and the bad, you take dogs that were in a different program and you bring them in, you're going to have some phenomenal dogs and you're going to have some dogs that's not so much. But that transition from going to what you were traditionally learning as an Israeli style SSD to that field trial retriever dog is something different, right? That
Oh yeah.
dog can handle like I've never seen before in my life. Now, I don't know the quality of them that, got transferred over to you, but I know that dog is a special dog, man. That is retriever trained to blast down that road 100 miles an hour for 50, 60, 80 meters, stop on a dime, cross over and come back, leads the opportunity for movement to happen within a squad, within a platoon. Um, and now I'm not sure how that transition goes from taking that. Did y'all have any like, did anybody come down and like talk to y'all about those dogs and try to help transition those dogs?
So not for me, man.
Yeah.
We were, and I'll say it in my experience from my time there, we were very nomadic,
Yeah.
which was, and once you look at everything, the domino effect, everything goes down, so
Yeah.
advantageous. And that I'll say that if you listen to the trajectory of my career within the Marine Corps, the versatility and adapting to different styles paved the way to where I'm at today. But did
Yeah.
I have guidance? No. I will tell you, knowing where I'm at today in my life, yeah, I think that's kind of contributes to why I think the way I do now. You know what I mean?
Right.
It definitely would have helped back then, though. I'll say that for sure. It definitely
Yeah.
would have helped me out a little bit.
So yeah, and I thought that was happening because I was a little bit part of that transition, um, not specifically going to Lackland, but I remember having some discussions with Jacob Holmes about these dogs. Was Jacob around in SSD when you were there or no?
No, so as a matter of fact, when I arrived, if I'm mistaken, Jacob Holmes and Seth Hill, I believe are the
Yep.
names of the two
Okay.
instructors prior to me. They
Yeah.
had already left, so it was just like a complete left seat, right seat, but no 2 week changeover.
Okay. So
No,
maybe they were catching the front end of that transition and then you came in. So cool. And so how long did you stay over at SSD as an instructor?
so that was 14 to 17 until I got out.
So you stayed there your entire time, which is cool, man. It's nice to be in. Lackland. They call it the Marine Killer, right? Because Marines go there and they get to do what they want. They get to train dogs, train people. Most of them just like training dogs, right? Um, but there's no better built handler in the world than a Marine handler. And I'll say that being from another branch, and because I've instructed with them, I've instructed them. It's just a different beast, man. And I remember them saying that all the time. It's a Marine killer, right? You look at Jason Law, you look at all the canine trailblazers and legends that got to Lackland and never left, right? But it's because of passion, it's because of what they love doing. And I can definitely relate to that. So you stay over there pumping and grinding, man, pushing out war fighters, doing God's work, really, man. And then something happens, right? What happens?
So you're talking about when you get out, or the transition from IDDs to the
Yeah, when
you
you
got you
when,
go.
when,
There's a
when
fork road there. So
yeah, when
um,
you leave, tell me what happens when you leave SSD. That's what I
okay,
want.
okay, yeah. So real quick, there's a limbo status there though before because we ended up washing out a lot of the IDD dogs.
Yeah,
Let's talk about that real quick. So
yeah,
um, we ended up taking away about the 200 IDD dogs. The IDD dogs were phenomenal.
yeah,
But a lot of them were older. So when
yes,
the Marine Corps fully took over, just to touch on that real quick, is when the Marine Corps fully took over, and I'll say this is like one of my greatest like happy moments of my career was I dispoed majority of those dogs because of their age and was able to reunite them back with their handlers, the prior
yeah,
handlers.
yeah,
So that was super, super cool. And then I'll say that there's three good things that I did in SSD for me at least was getting those dogs back to their proper handlers. Was creating at that time, as it's evolved in something new as it should. But during that time, we called it the Alpha and Bravo program, which was we instructors train a group of dogs. We gave those dogs to the students, and the students would help us train the next class of dogs.
okay, yeah, yeah, I get it.
So they obviously they'd have their dog they're going to go back to the field with, and they would also understand the foundation work with the new batch of dogs going to the next class.
Yeah, I get
Um,
it.
I thought that was very unique. It's very similar to the Cradle to the Grave that the Federal Service does.
Yeah,
Um, and then my third accomplishment that I take with a lot of pride is that everybody I instructed who did deploy came back safely.
yeah,
So
100%.
that's something that's something you you see all this stuff in the behind us, and I love it. I'm blessed for it. Rachel and I are blessed for it. But to have handlers from back then still call me and still talk about some
Yeah.
stories, man, and hear about their success and being a part of that, that to me is like
Yeah.
I have to speak on that.
That is, man. That's it's life changing to be honest. And it was a really good reunion at the 25th War Dog Association anniversary because I got to see some of the SSD students that I have now. They're all grown up, man. They're out there doing their thing and they're successful at it. And it really does my heart good to see that. Not that I had anything to do with their success. They were going to be successful no matter what, but to have some kind of impact with them early in their career and they're home. They made it home. Unfortunately, not every Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine member made it back. That's just part of war. That's just how that is. And, I'm part of my job function in this role of Canine Legends and Trailblazers is to honor them. So I do have some segments coming out honoring. I have three lined up right now, but I just want to make them perfect before I put them out. So be on the lookout for that. Enough about me. Let's get back to you. So. Yes, and that's a great thing you did, man, because the infantry marine handlers that handled those dogs, they weren't in that same loop of military working dog community, knowing how to get their dogs and retire them to them. I know some of those dogs ended up going over to TSA. Matter of fact, when I went to TSA, I actually picked up a dog that I had imprinted at K2 years ago, so it was great.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
At MSY under the Federal Service, every one of the dogs that we had were all prior K2 IDD dogs. So it
That's
was great,
awesome.
man. Like these dogs were amazing. But so you get over there, you're taking care of that, and thank you for taking care of them. I'm glad somebody did. Always worried about how the infantry Marines were treated a little bit different than the MWD community. I saw it firsthand at Leatherneck, between the kennels and the IDD program. But it's just K9, it's just kind of is what it is. I'm better than you. No, you're not. I'm better than you. And that's how it goes. So once you get through all that, you go through SSD, you've been there for years. You said you had something in limbo. What was that?
No, no. So I was trying to say like, can we say what's next? And I was like, I transition out, or is it like what happened with SSD then?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, cool. So now we get a great opportunity.
Yeah. So okay. So after SSD, so I was there from 24 to 2014. Sorry, to 2017. I was SSD.
Yeah,
Once again, here we go with the luck. Um, I got out of the Marine Corps June 10 of 2017. I went to federal service June 11 of 2017. So then literally the next day, I went straight to federal service, and man, that was a whole different ballgame too. Very humbling experience. I needed it. I think like anybody that comes out of the military, we think that we know everything. So my first year was pretty humbling over there. But yeah, I worked under Orlando Nunez, which I
yeah,
know you just did an interview with him.
yeah,
I worked under Orlando Nunez. I had him for my first couple of trailers. And like I said, it was rough around the edges, but he was one to guide me and show me the ropes and the system that is federal service.
yeah,
And then I had other amazing people, and I have to give them credit. I have to give them credit because the success I had within federal service was specifically because of these people,
yeah,
Jason Law, your Pat Yeomans,
yeah,
and I have to give a huge shout out to Ronnie Holland too.
yeah,
They saw something in me that people often saw as what I showed as curiosity. They often saw it as challenging.
yeah,
And Jason Law, Pat Yeoman, Ronnie Holland, those people specifically took a pivotal role in my career where they saw, now this kid's just hungry. You know what I mean? He just wants
yeah,
to know what's going on. So
yeah.
um, yeah, so I stayed there for 4 years.
Yeah, and not to get controversial, but there was a lot of changes going on in that federal service agency in that K9 program, and there was a lot of resistance. I was with Pat, and we were pushing a lot of this change, right, from the pilot course that we did, and it wasn't met with open arms, right? When you're looking to change a program, a style of training, there's always going to be resistance, and at the same time, they were also changing how the divisions within that federal agency work, right? Used to be just trainer only, used to be instructor only, used to be evaluators. So you can only imagine, like, I think Pat and I caught most of the blame for all that because they're like, well, you guys changed the program and now, we're doing this. But anyway, uh, no, it's great, man. And again, the same guys that you looked up to when you got there to the federal agency, those were guys that I came up with. You know, those were guys that taught me as well. You know, I never stop learning, man. I always pay attention to those that are doing good things because I want to do good things. But yeah, what another blessing, man. Somebody in your family must be a saint, bro.
You know, hey, something. I must have something right at some
Yeah,
point in time in my life. But
yeah,
I am grateful for those guys, man. Like I think,
yeah, man.
I think in canine, and you know how it is, especially in the culture of canine, you can get turned down real quick if you ask why, or if you
Yeah,
have a, and you know me, man. Like I have a very curious brain, and I can't sit still for nothing.
yeah, yeah,
Like I'm pretty sure people already see me fidgeting with my hands here while we're doing this. So,
yeah,
um, to have people who took time out of their day, whatever troubles they're going through,
yeah.
and they were like, let me get to know this kid, and I think kid is the best word for it, especially in that time. Man, I have to give my props to Jason Law, and like Jason Law for sure. I noticed a shift in dynamic and in the environment once I went under him in terms of like for working wise, right? And he was like, "Hey, man, I got you," and was
And
able
he
to
meant
educate
it.
me.
And he meant it, man.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
that's one thing I'll say about Jason Law is he stood on ground, man. He stands
Oh yeah.
principle. And you know, Jason and I, we go way back as well, way back to like '04 in DTS together. And what an amazing guy. And I hope I can get him on the show at some point. Jason, if you're
For
listening to
sure.
this, I'm coming for you, sir. But
Yeah, hey, do it, bro.
yeah,
Please,
yeah, I
please do.
will,
Yeah,
100%, man. So, you know, good transition. Now we're over in the federal agency, and we're learning again, right? We're learning again. We're learning these methods, these methodologies, and how the difference is in our customer, right? Because that's what we have as instructors and trainers. We have different styles of customers. So here we go, Rachel. I'm coming back to you. All
Dude.
right. So let's talk about your transition. So you go to the 341st as well.
Yep. I finally made it over there. It was again another battle that I had to get over there because I was unfortunately dealing with a lot of medical problems in Iwakuni, Japan. I screwed up my hip, my shoulder, my foot, and they were trying to hold me in Iwakuni. I was like, "The fuck you are!" I was like, "I'm getting the fuck out of here and get the 341st, one way or another." And by God's grace, I got back to 341st. And once I got through those doors, they're like, hey, do you want to go trainer side or instructor side? I'm like, I'm going fucking trainer. And they're like, well, we couldn't really use. I was like, no, no, no.
Right.
No, I ain't going over there. And I was like, I had a little pocket in the sense of like, I knew that you had to have college education or at least some of it to go to that instructor side. So
Right.
I didn't have any college. So didn't have to worry about that nonsense. No, but it did help me in the sense of them not trying to steal me over to the instructor side.
Right.
So I was blessed to go to the trainer side. And when I got to the trainer side, it was just like almost going back home. They went to the, windowless building, which I was like, well, why the fuck are we in this building now? I was like, this is different.
Right.
But once I got through those doors, it was like a breath of fresh air. I was so excited to be back there. And again, got super super grateful in the sense of got to learn through some amazing people like Chris Marcioni and BJ. They were back there as civilians,
Nice.
so I was super stoked that they were out there because that's where I learned a shitload of detection knowledge from and patrol side from those guys. So it
Yeah.
was a blessing. And when I was out there, man, like I had Craig Martin. We fucking hook and jab on a team together. We fucking produced some badass dogs.
Yeah. And it's a different culture altogether, right? Like that's a brother and sisterhood like no other. And I speak to it all the time, you know. The Army, they have a brotherhood, the Navy, the Air Force, the Marine, but K9 as a whole has one that reaches across all branches. And it's amazing to watch. Um, you know, still to this day, almost 30 years later, I still stay in touch with most of those guys, you know. And but that culture is just it's different. I don't even know how to explain it to people. And I tried to replicate that culture when I got out of the military and I went out to K2. When I was at 341st, it was nothing to be in this guy's garage Friday playing poker, this guy's garage on Sunday, this guy's garage on Wednesday. And I tried it a couple times at K2, it just didn't work out. It was never the same again. I was like, I don't even want to play poker with you guys anymore. It's not the same. I don't have somebody passing out over here, somebody jumping up over here, somebody talking trash about what they did in the pit yesterday over here. It's not fun. So
What's that one game with the 40 hands? Is like I lost so many times I had to do it. They get a 40, like a.
Oh, I don't even know what the fuck that's called.
You know what I'm talking about, bro? Bro, I've lost so many times playing games where like I'm at someone's garage. As a matter of fact, Lobos, if you watch this, is for you. Man, I had like two big old bottles of beer like taped to my hand, and that couldn't be untaped until I got done with them. So that's like that. Yeah, that to your point though. That's
yeah,
341st for you.
yeah, that's what it is, and it's amazing. But so Rachel, you over there, you getting all these reps, training all these dogs. How long do you stay over there in the training mode?
So I stayed there the whole time. So my 2 years. It was honestly super heartbreaking when I was getting out of the Marine Corps. I honestly didn't want to get out of the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
I honestly wanted to stay there. Unfortunately, because my body was not to the same caliber that I hold myself to, I knew I had to unfortunately like push myself out of the Marine Corps because I knew if I stayed in, I was gonna be super heartbroken that I couldn't keep on competing with the
Right,
males and
right.
the badass females that were fucking doing good things. So I told myself that I needed to get out. So making that decision was honestly super, super fucking hard
Yeah,
because I didn't know where I was going to go next. Saving grace, I was with Josh at the time. We met at 341st. And funny story to that, because I gotta tell it, is I met a really good friend of his in Iwakuni, Japan, Alba. And she's like, hey, when you get to fucking 341st, you're gonna meet Josh and Araujo, you guys are gonna really click and you guys are gonna be really good friends. And I'm like, all right, yeah. And I get there and I see this cat, and I was like, ain't no fucking way am I gonna be friends with this guy. I was like, nah, man, like this ain't gonna happen. I was like, I don't
right.
know what you thought, Alba, but it ain't happening. And
Right.
but we became really good friends, and yeah, here we are today. But because I had him, it made that transition getting out a little less scary. But I didn't know where that canine career was gonna take me.
Yeah.
I didn't get as fortunate to get to the federal service like Josh did initially. So I went to the pet sector
Yep.
and worked with a franchise. And I learned some things. I learned more business things, I would say, more than I did dog training wise. Like I call it what it is. I
Yeah.
learned more of the how the civilian world was going to kind of be. And I was like, oh no, what's
Yeah.
happening? Not what I
Yeah.
wanted. And a year later, that's when I got into the federal service, and thank God, thank
Yeah.
God, because
Yeah.
I did not like that civilian sector when I first got out.
Yeah, no, I get it. And the great thing about San Antonio being the Mecca of canine, there's so many canine opportunities there. That you could throw a stick and hit a canine trainer, and you might hit three with one stick, right? But so that it takes us to you guys over now. You're back up together in the same location. You're both working for federal service, and I think it wasn't long after there when I met you guys. Y'all had come in and come back. Um, but you're over there, you're same kind of thing, right? You're getting you're learning new methods, new methodologies. You're learning from some of the great detection minds in the world. I'll just say it, in the world. It's a huge program, right? Uh, at that time, I think it was second to DoD or just above DoD. I'm not quite sure about where it stood. And it's a huge program today. But then you guys, as much as you shined there, and you did, right? That's all I heard about were you two, and saw it with my own eyes. At some point, you say, okay, I want to do something different. And this time, it's different because you're making a decision together as a team, as a canine power couple. Whoever wants to tell me about this, go ahead, feel free.
So,
Yeah, no for it.
yeah, so I think the conversation started in 2020.
Yeah.
We started having this conversation in 2020 about, what do we want out of life? And there was, and that I think that's the best way to say this. Like, what do we want out of life? What are we trying to go? What direction are we trying to go? Um, and then Rachel was the one that was like, hey, I'm thinking about doing my own thing, right?
Yeah.
Was it your first? Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rachel was like, I'm thinking about doing my own thing. And I said, go for it. That's too easy. Like, we were such in a good position in the aspect of if she wants to explore whatever she wants to explore, right? When it
Yeah.
comes to profession, if it's creating your own entity, I was going to be the security blanket. I'm on federal service,
Yeah, sure.
right? I'm still doing something that I truly enjoyed. Between the two of us, I liked I liked the multifaceted approach of the federal service, meaning like you're training, you're instructing, you're evaluating. Like I like
Yeah.
the trifecta, right? Like I'm real big into once I understand something, I get to understand how the machine works,
Yeah.
and I really deep dive into it. So I really enjoyed it. Rachel always enjoyed more of the training side. That was her focus. So she was trying to orient it, find something that would stick to and commit more to that side.
Yeah.
So fast forward in 2021, February of 2021, Rachel leaves federal service and she creates Paws and Footprints Training Academy. And I say she creates, I say she created the name. Understand that like this company where we are today, the person who took that first step and that first initiative, all credit goes to her.
Yeah.
Yes, we are a team. Yes, I'm always going to support. And yes, I am part of Paws and Footprints today. We are 50-50 owners. Like all that's good, right? But man, let it be known, like the initiative, the push, the inspiration started off with her.
We
Um,
all know in the canine community that
yeah,
Rachel is the boss. Okay.
yeah. Hey,
You
I
can
have
say
no problem saying
50-50
it.
all you want, Josh, and I love you, but Rachel's the boss.
I have
Please.
no problem saying that. I'm with it too. I'm with it. You
Please.
heard her. She did MMA before. You think I'm not? Look, I know
Yeah,
where I
yeah,
stand.
I'm not messing
but
with Rachel, but please go ahead.
no. So she took off, man. And here's the cool thing was obviously I was always able to help out. Like and it got to the point Rachel was killing it. I would come home, and while I was still in uniform, I'd take dogs out for walks or I'd help out wherever I could.
Yeah,
What really was a pivotal point, and it was such a cool point to see, was when Rachel said her first no to a client, meaning that she couldn't take the client in anymore because we didn't have availability.
right,
And I was like, yeah, we ain't gonna do that.
right.
We're not, you know what I mean? We're not like if there's so much where you're saying no, like we're doing something right. And
Yeah,
at that point, that gave me enough like I don't know if you want to call it validation or confidence or that security blanket of federal service. I was like, okay, this is worth the risk to truly immerse ourselves in. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And here we are. So we started off in the pet sector. Sorry, did you want to?
No, go.
Okay. We start off in the pet sector. I have no shame about it. I love the pet sector. I see a lot of people on the military or law enforcement side that they say they can never train a pet dog. In my opinion, this is my humble opinion, training a dog with drive is cool. Training a dog with zero drive and zero want,
Yeah,
that's where you see creativity hit. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Um,
100%.
so talk about a new threshold. So from military to federal service adjusting. Now we're talking about pet side adjusting, different breeds adjustment. So we've just been fortunate enough to, like you said, Paul Bunker, right? His motto is train the dog in front of you, and
Yeah,
that's our belief as well. So we just took that and we ran with it, and we had success to the point where, once again, fortunately, it allowed us to tap back into the military and law enforcement side.
yeah.
So, which is where we're at now. We kind of wear multiple hats, right?
Yeah, and I want to speak on that, man. And the growth I've watched for you two over the last few years, it's just been phenomenal. Not meaning like financially, and but just watching you and the variety and the diversity of your training. I see you out training pet dogs. I see you training with foreign military. I see you training with U.S. military, and I'm just amazed by that, and I'm so proud of you guys, man, to watch you grow and grow as a couple. Um, and that's a little bit where I am in my life right now. I just recently retired. My wife and I made a decision that we want to be home with our kids. We have seven of them, only three at home, thank goodness. But we're exploring those opportunities together now, and I enjoy that a lot because it takes the pressure off of me, honestly, because I don't have to make all those decisions. And she kind of inspired me to do this. She's like, "You're always on the phone talking to K9 guys, and you're talking for hours." And I know every story because I've already heard it. I said, she's like, "You should start interviewing people." So I did, and that's where we are. Um, I want to talk a little bit about search and rescue, if you guys are okay with that. Unfortunately, we had a really tragic event happen in Texas not too long ago. And when I heard that dogs were being deployed, I think I called you
Yeah,
immediately.
we spoke. We did.
Yeah, and I knew you were there, man. I was like, I know he's there, and I know he's doing God's work. And one thing I want to bring up about that, and not to be sound negative, was some of the struggles that you were going through with that, and validity of those kind of programs. And I love the search and rescue world. I think what an amazing group of people that volunteer their money, their time, uh, all the time, on a regular basis. But I also think there's a need for some kind of standard for those dogs. And we don't have to get into that here. That's a whole nother conversation.
Oh, that's a 2 hour conversation right there.
Matter of fact, I think I'm going to have an interview with a president of a search and rescue organization coming up soon that Chris Jacobin
Okay.
turned me on to. So I'm going to ask them all those questions. But I wanted to thank you guys for your service for that. I know that goes, sometimes those things, they're just so tragic and you get caught up in it and you're trying to do as much as you can, as fast as you can, as hard as you can. And I could tell, from talking to you that you were wore out, my brother. You were wore out. And I know y'all are putting a lot of miles in, but man, you guys are just you amaze me, man. Just please don't ever stop what you're doing. And we have about 5 minutes left, but if I don't ask this question, no one on Instagram is going to understand it. What is going on with this trained deer that is on an odor wall?
Yeah, all right. All right. So she's a beast. So it's cool, man. So Rachel tells me to leave her alone. That's what Rachel does, first of all.
Yeah,
She tells me to leave her alone. I said, nah, look, um, I wanted to see if we could do it, to be
yeah,
honest with you. And it got to a point where I was like, okay, if I take a lot of pride and I talk a lot about psychology, now I'll try to spare you on the time, right? But if I talk about psychology, I talk about training the animal in front of you, train the dog in front of you, and I talk about how the method that we use for training dogs is effective. I was like, if I could do it with the deer, man, that's gonna be cool.
yeah,
So I posted a video, this was years ago, about me teaching her how to heel,
yeah,
and it was a heel and the recall, and people were like, and a lot of people were like, awesome, that's impressive, all that stuff. And then there was a comment saying, if you could teach her how to search, then I'll really be impressed.
right.
And I said, all right, say less.
Yeah,
So that passion plus that little comment made me fuel. The cool thing about it now was not only do we have her search the scent wall, but we also have her search for lavender too,
nice.
which if you understand, deer hate lavender.
Yes.
So it's super cool. So like there's a lot of psychology involved in this where not only are we teaching her how to search something that's not natural for her to do in a detailed manner, but we're also having her search for something that she's supposed to hate naturally.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
That's
a
really
short
cool,
version of
man.
it.
That just again, man, like I love the open-mindedness now. Like let's try it. Let's do anything, man.
Yeah.
Uh so again, man, thank you guys for having this interview with me today. I know y'all busy. I know you got to go feed dogs in between breaks. You got to go take care of the farm. I know you guys are just super engaged in everything. And so I'd be really upset with myself if I didn't mention Leica.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. So Leica Foundation's our nonprofit. It's a 501(c)(3). Leica was our Dutch Shepherd. She passed away almost at the age of 13.
Yeah.
We've had her. That was like what kind of got Rachel and I together in our relationship was Leica. So I had Leica since she was 6 months old. Rachel came into Leica's life. I want to say when Leica was about 4.
Yeah.
When Leica was about 4 years old. And that's what made us get together. Leica was a spunky Dutch Shepherd. I
Yeah.
saw that Rachel could handle her, and I was like, all right, cool. There's a little bit more backstory to it, real quick. I'll give you the full story. So, Leica Foundation started because of our Dutch Shepherd named Leica. Little backstory: in 2016, I went through a cancer scare. I had to go through emergency surgery. They took a piece of my lung out. While I was in bed rest, I needed somebody to take care of my Dutch Shepherd, Leica at the time, and she was about 4 years old.
Yeah.
Rachel was a good friend of mine already, even though she didn't like me back then. No, Rachel was a good friend of mine back then. And while I was in bed rest, I said, "Hey, I just need someone to take care of my Dutch Shepherd." Leica was a spunky Dutchie, man, 50 pounds, just like fuck around and find out. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. So what was interesting while I was in bed rest, in and out of treatment, her and Leica got together really, really well. And I was like, man, that's weird. So what got us together was, of course, our friendship, but was Leica, my Dutch Shepherd, right? That's what made me really take interest in Rachel and her take interest in me, and that's how our relationship started. Fast forward, we've always rescued dogs. So what we wanted to do was to create a foundation, a 501c3 nonprofit that we could honor our first dog, which was Leica. So Leica stands for Love All Your Canines Abundantly. And
Wow.
we've had Leica Foundation since 2021.
I love that story, man. Um, you guys are just impressive all around, man. And I don't usually blow smoke in anybody's ass. If you know me, you know I usually just say it how I say it. Um, we're gonna close this out, but I'm gonna give you guys last words for anything you want to say. We're gonna start with Rachel because ladies goes first.
Oh, God bless. I don't even know what to say besides thank you. Thank you for allowing us to talk about honestly us, obviously our businesses like a foundation and Paws and Footprints. We really appreciate you taking the time to sit down with us, honestly.
Yeah, no worries, man. It's my honor. Go
Yeah,
ahead,
and
Chris.
all I'll say is if there's any success in our lives, man, it's because people like you believed in us.
Yeah.
So all I ask is that you guys keep believing in us, keep supporting us, and we'll keep doing right by you guys. So thank you for the opportunity and thank you for believing in us. And I mean that wholeheartedly.
Yeah, man. No worries, man. I'll always support you guys. Um, I will, for anybody in the San Antonio area, if you're not training with these guys, you're crazy. That's all I'm gonna say. But I'll post all their links to all their social media, training academy, all that. But if we have time real quick, if you guys wouldn't mind, I'm just gonna say a quick prayer for all our K9 comrades. I appreciate it. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the strength, courage, and loyalty you've placed within every K9 and handler who serves, for the bond between man and dog built on trust, sacrifice, and love of duty. Lord, we ask your blessing upon every active K9 team that's standing watch tonight. Please protect them, guide them, and bring them home safely. And Lord, we remember those who have gone before us, our fallen handlers and K9s who gave everything in service. May their legacy live on through us, and may they rest in your eternal peace. Grant us the strength to honor their memory and the heart to continue their mission with courage and faith. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen.
All right. Thank you guys again. I'm blessed to know you. I'm blessed to call you guys my friends.
Thank you for the opportunity
Thank
once
All right,
again.
you.
guys. All right. Be safe out there.
You
Appreciate it.
too.
Bye.
All right. Bye.